Hello, everyone, and welcome to session 11, Opinion Text Type. As we start our session, you'll see that the beginning of our presentation looks a little bit different than many of the past sessions that we have, and that is probably because you're feeling like this year you have been running a marathon along with Becky and I as we continue through learning about all of the text types. And so I thank you for sticking with us as we head into March here with this session. We are in the home stretch, if you will. We're nearing the finish line as we learn about all of the different text types. So today's focus is going to be on opinion text type, as I said, and this session will provide you with some background on opinion writing, and then also we'll speak about the elements of the discourse. We'll then break and we'll have another Google Hangout under session 11 that will focus on the grade level expectations and resources, and that one will be recorded separately. And that will hopefully allow your teams to use each of these parts in different ways that are a fit for your building. So we are going to begin with learning about opinion writing.
Well, we know that it is almost a marathon to accomplish what Common Core has asked us to do with kids, and that is increase the proficiency of all our kids and the ability to think more rigorously and with complexity, and to do all of that independently. The number one standard in for the writing standards is argument. And actually Lucy Calkins says that argument is the number one issue for college and career readiness. In the past, we have not created or developed the ability for kids to make claims, provide reasons and evidence and whatnot to be able to do this discourse. So Common Core would say that argument is number one. Other people have certainly talked about the need for kids to be able to have this standard so that they can live in a democracy, that our country depends on educated people who exercise the ability to provide logical, reasoned, evidence-based arguments as they express their opinion and their voice. So it's a very important standard, not only for Common Core, but for any democracy like our country to be able to coexist in the global community. So this is Common Core writing standard number one. The language says to write arguments to support claims in an analysis of substantive topics or texts using valid reasoning and relevant and sufficient evidence. We love this little girl, right? The last time in informational writing, she was just able to teach us about her silkworms. Well, she's fallen in love with them now, and she thinks that she should be talking to Mom about maybe making them a pet at their house. So we know that opinion writing is a good spin-off of informational text type even, and that opinion writing can really enrich our content learning. Opinion writing also comes from students' interests. So the topics can be varied, but we know that if kids could develop the ability to argue, oh my gosh, would that enhance their conversations, allow them to deliberate meaningfully about topics and to be able to start taking stances on social issues? Wow, the talk in our classrooms would really escalate in complexity and proficiency with the addition of good argumentative thinking and writing. I wanted to point out, because actually I just really noticed this year when I was putting this together, that the standard is talking about writing opinion pieces focused both on topics and text. So we've talked about, students getting topics from their background, from the curriculum. Now in session 11 here, let's look at opinion writing and the texts that we're talking about. We know the purpose of opinion writing is really twofold. Owaki says it's either to share a viewpoint or to make a case. So we're all familiar with students writing in their reader's log, responding to a story that they've read. Sometimes the prompts can be given by a teacher, but eventually we want kids to use their own authentic thinking in their reading logs. But again, what they're doing is they're responding to their personal responses to literature. And that's what the standard is talking about when it says that it is writing from texts and topics. So the student is writing about a text. She could be creating bulleted notes or a poster for a book talk. And again, that would be a personal response to literature. She could be going on a blog and putting her opinion there, asking her classmates to respond in agreement or disagreement. I love this opinion writing. It's the book 100 Deadliest Things on the Planet, and it is a good book. But this is a fourth grader's review of the book. Have you ever been all around the world to see diseases, natural disasters, dangerous animals? Instead of going all around the world, read this book. It's very heart-pounding look at the deadliest things on the planet. The words of the text are very specific in describing the dangerous things. My favorite, he goes on to say, is about this bushmaster snake, and he talks about its fangs and the venom and whatnot. But he says it's not the strongest venom in the world, but it does damage the blood vessels and quickly starts to dissolve living flesh. There are also natural disasters in this book. We read about disasters in my class this year, or we read about them. They can be very scary. Between the scary animals and the natural disasters, you won't want to put the book down. I recommend this book to ages 9 through 13. The book shows some disturbing photos. Isn't that a nice warning? If you read this book, you will learn new kinds of animals and diseases that you never knew about. I hope you read this book. It is amazing. So again, very strong viewpoint, trying to make the case that this is a book you do not want to miss. Book reviews are another format for opinion writing. I love this one. Have you ever had to build your own school? And we complain about having to come to school? This story is about Thomas, a boy from Chad, and his journey during his first year of school. Even though they lack material things, they go to school with enthusiasm and energy. This story teaches us that it's not necessary to have it all. We recommend this book because it will honestly make you value what you have and admire the children of Chad. Book reviews are a powerful format for expressing opinions about texts. This is another lovely piece of opinion writing. Dear Mom and Dad, I have a question for you. I was wondering if I could get a phone. Maybe you've heard this same topic before in an opinion piece. You know, there are many reasons why I may be in need of a phone. My first is that if I am stuck at skating practice in the morning and I need a ride home, or what if you accidentally forget to pick me up from piano? With a phone, I'd be able to call you. Well, my third reason is, what if one of my friends had something very important to tell me? They could call me. I love how the student, this is a fourth grade student, goes on to say, my first reason that I mentioned was what if I'm stuck at skating in the morning before school? I really need a ride to school so I'm not late for school. This would be especially important if I'm eating breakfast at school to get there on time. The rationale here. Secondly, do you remember the time when you were 10 minutes late to pick me up from piano? That would be a question mark, exclamation, question mark. This student knows how to use punctuation for emphasis. That was extremely boring for me to wait, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. I almost thought you forgot about me. This would be an example of a great time that my phone would have come in handy. Again, opinion writing that makes a strong case for this 10-year-old to have a phone. This was on the internet. Dear Santa, This Christmas, please give my mom a phone. She needs a phone because of all the phones she's had keep breaking. She can buy one, but she has to spend all of her money on car payments. She needs to be able to contact her clients. If my mom cannot contact clients, she cannot make any money. She cannot live without a phone. Here's another one from myloveletters.com. I'm telling you, there's a lot of persuasive writing examples out there.
I think what's fun also about reading student persuasive writing is that their voice shines through. You can't help but try to identify with these kids and what they're trying to communicate to you in their writing. I think kids find it a powerful way to share what they want to make happen. And so giving kids an opportunity to do that, I think it has a really valuable place in school.
It certainly is one of the places where authentic writing makes a huge difference. I love the closure on that letter. Love your mature and responsible daughter. Here's a look at Burger King's Whopper and McDonald's Big and Tasty. Love it. Look at, this is the actual size of the Whopper, and this is fluffed and the most attractive angle versus McDonald's actual Big and Tasty, and this is the actual attractive angle. Doesn't take much to know which one I should buy, right? Opinion writing, to share a viewpoint or to make a case. Look at this piece. There's no words there. The picture says it all, right? Advertisement is powerful opinion writing. And why do they call this a Happy Meal? Very crafty title for that opinion piece. Quite frankly, I could have written the Godiva one. I think it does gratify instantly. Or, gee, I wish I were a man. Join the Navy. Be a man and do it. Oh, this is probably my favorite. Ladies prefer buying their Toyotas here at Antwerpen. They just kind of throw in the free manicure and the cappuccinos, but all of this very much making a case for selling, and some beautiful examples of real-world opinion writing that we see every day, actually. Iwaki goes on to talk about persuasive video documentaries. I think before we talked about informational video documentaries, this time it's persuasive video documentaries. We've seen them. He also talks about persuasive photo documentaries, again, to share a viewpoint or to make a case. Here's an example. I wonder if you could name this format of opinion writing. This is written by, I think, a fourth grade student as well. Instead of paper towels, many public restrooms have installed hot air dryers. I think our school would benefit by investing in automatic motion sensing hand dryers. First of all, this automatic hand dryer is very sanitary. Instead of pulling on a lever that's been touched by a large number of students, users can just stick their hands under the air dryer. No germs can get on them because there's nothing to touch. Just think how the attendance rate would improve. Kids wouldn't get sick from the germ-infested paper towels dispensers we now use in our schools. So they go on to talk about how, or this author does, how saving money, keeping kids healthy, and helping our schools stay clean are good reasons for hand dryers. Let's install them as soon as possible. Do you know the format for this type of opinion writing? It's persuasive essays versus literary essays. Literary essays are essays or opinion pieces about literature. Okay, so here, this is an example from Charlotte's Web, where it starts in Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. A pig named Wilbur gets a chance at life thanks to a little girl named Fern and a spider named Charlotte. You see how the writer here introduces the book with a short summary, but then goes on to say the author shows that a real friend will help you even if he or she has nothing to gain from doing so. There, the writer is talking about the theme of the book. And from there on, we see examples of how, from this book, different episodes or examples of how that theme is played out. again, this is an organizer for a literary essay. It is a type of opinion writing to share a viewpoint of a text. And
actually, that literary essay organizer, we're going to put that as a standalone on the hub, so that can be an example. That form, the literary essay form of writing, was new to me, maybe new to many of us, and so you can look for that literary essay organizer to more closely on the Literacy Hub.
So we are in session 11 on opinion writing. We see where it is on the ladder. It's on the bottom. It's one of the text types, and its purpose is to share a viewpoint or to make a case. On top of argument writing, we still have the craft or the how, and then lastly, the top of the ladder is looking at multiple and varied pieces and doing that same process of synthesizing to make a claim, provide reasons and evidence.
I know we've joked a little bit about that ladder and how it continues to repeat throughout the school year, but I do want you to take a moment as you look at the bottom of that ladder, how everything we have done has been built upon each other. And so, you know, take a moment and think, you know, how much you know now about narrative writing and how much you know about informational writing. And now we're digging into argument writing. And so just the background that you now have in building that ladder is really commendable, that you've continued to take this journey with us as we've dug deeper throughout the school year.
So there is much that we already know. Here's something else that's familiar to all of us, how the reading, writing, speaking, listening standards come together in argument, making a claim, having the evidence and the reasoning to back it up. We also know that there's a relationship between writing and speaking and listening, and it's in that chunk of speaking and listening called presentation of knowledge and ideas, and it correlates to language standard number 3. You're going to see examples in opinion writing where in the green you can see that with certain formats you're going to use more formal language versus informal language. You're going to, the choice of words is really important in opinion because sometimes your words and phrases are chosen for an effect. Think of advertising. Sometimes they're chosen to think about literary essays, to be very precise in their meaning. Think about the persuasive letter, the choice of punctuation for effect. All of these come into play hugely in opinion writing. So we know our language makes a difference. And when we talk about the different formats of opinion writing, we see that we have a lot of them that are still the more formal discourse. And yet, when you're talking with a friend, when you're texting, when you're blogging, there you would be more informal. So our language makes a difference. Owaki says, in opinion writing, you choose words and phrases for effect and precision. You choose words and phrases to make key words and keep the audience's attention. You want showing words rather than telling words. And you want to make sure that you help that reader keep an open mind, even if there's a tendency toward disagreement. And you do that through the language that you're choosing. Also, language will help to persuade effectively without defending or offending people. Your language tries to show multiple perspectives and avoid implying that you know, one idea is bad or one practice is bad. And sometimes you want to choose language that is just smart sounding, trying to persuade effectively, again, without offending.
In the technology session of opinion writing, you'll have an opportunity to look at examples of book talks and videos and other different types that you see on this list, and then you can look at the language and see some examples. So you can look for that to be coming on the Literacy Hub.
So another thing you know is that all natural learning starts through speaking and listening. So we want to make sure that kids are hearing pieces, they're hearing conversation, about the elements of argument so that when they read it, they can identify the criteria and then eventually write it. So here we are. We're putting the text types. Each of our segments of the year is oriented around a text type, and then lastly, the top of the ladder, research. But under each one of those, we work toward clear, coherent writing, which is right in the middle of the writing ladder. That's standard number 4. All of our writing evolves through writing process, which is standard number 5. And then standard number 6, the use of technology to publish and produce, to collaborate. And then lastly, standard number 10, writing routinely. So we really have used this year to pick apart the 10 standards and to organize them. So here we are today. We're actually now on standard number 1. And standard number 1 is about argument or opinion writing. And in this opinion text type, there's going to be 4 sessions again. This session 11 is the overview. 12 is going to be the use of technology and the projects that you can do with it. Session 13 now is a Twitter chat, so that'll give us some opportunity to dialogue and to share. And then we end this segment with a planning session. So we know this whole study really is centered around 3 goals. We wanted actually to have a K-5 Common Core Writing Standards study. And last time we were talking about, you know, how are we doing as a district? Certainly this study, as it goes on, we're certainly at a developing level. We know that we also want for kids to start experiencing Common Core writing instruction. The last time that we looked at this, I kind of thought maybe we were at an introductory level, but man, as we've done Hangouts and the sharing that I've heard from various schools, I definitely think that we are moving into a developing level in terms of what kids see about the Common Core writing. And then lastly is the teacher tools and becoming fluent with multiple and varied tools that we can use for our instruction. And again, we certainly are at a developing level here across the district. So from here, we're going to look at the same 4 elements that we've looked at in narrative text type and in informational text type. And we're going to start with elements of the discourse.